All right, it's time for our daily debate. And it stems from the fight card out in Moscow, Russia, except it has nothing to do with a fight that happened in the cage. It was more of a little tussle between former UFC strawweight champion, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, and a member of the media who we believe to be Russian, and things got a little out of hand. But I'll tell you what, let's stick to this debate and then we'll play the audio. Is that what we're doing, guys?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. All right, so here we go. The question is, what do you make of Joanna Jędrzejczyk's shaming a reporter who asked her a quote-unquote stupid question about Conor McGregor? Your choices are simple, guys. It was uncalled for, or he had it coming. All right, Dan, you go first.
This is tough. I never like seeing anybody dressed down in public for, doing what is essentially part of their job, even if they do it poorly. There is a certain line, But there are two things. One, the guy went up on his own accord when she invited him, and two, if you watch the whole thing through, he did he did make her repeat a question. She was ready to go already before he even came up to ask her a question. So in other words, the fighter was pretty much done and doing him a nice nod by even staying, and he had a really weird question beforehand with asking, do you like Russian men? So I think those things stack the argument against the guy. I never like again, it's uncomfortable seeing anybody get dressed down. I didn't like seeing that, but I'll vote he had it coming.
Goes?
I'm going to vote he had it coming too. But Dan's right. Like, I don't like seeing that. I don't think things can get better that way. I think we're always going to be in a situation where you're going to have to learn something the hard way. And I would just always want that if I'm that person in that situation, that somebody take the time to explain it to me. Mm-hmm. However, on his side, in doing what we do, there's a lot of signs that you have to look for. And I felt like in that interview, there were a lot of moments. You have to know your surroundings and you have to know your people, right? And she had already been asked the question. She had already kind of said, I like them both. Me doing this for what we do, for as long as we do, if I hear that, I don't ask that question because I know what the answer is going to be. And just the way he phrased the question, like, what did he really expect her to say? I thought he acted well. She's not going to say that. So in a way, he is setting her up, right? But these are just questions that get asked. They get asked in pro football. They get asked in baseball, basketball. So on Joanna's side, I think she just has to come to an awareness that this is part of her job, and it's what's going to happen. Yeah. I don't think it should burn her the way it did every single time, right? But that
sounds like you're starting to go over to what was uncalled for.
No, because he knew what he was getting into.
Okay.
He knew what he was doing, and again, there were signs that she probably wasn't going to answer that the way he wanted to, and so it's on him.
Yeah, I thought it was uncalled for. I like your point about he had asked her, so you could tell he was headed towards the TMZ route of maybe something quick, like sensational headline. Mm-hmm. He said, look, we're always asking guys about Russian women. I just wanted the opposing view of what do you think of Russian men. So maybe he was trying to be cute. Who knows? But he did circle back to that one question about who do you like between Conor and Khabib. First, tell me your thoughts on the fight. She talked about how big it's going to be. And then, of course, she said, but I'm not going to give a prediction because I said it earlier. So, yeah, you do have to watch the whole thing. It's 7 minutes long. What I want to know is, when she was about to leave, could he have just arrived, thereby missed the early part? Because I've been in that setting. Goes, you've been in that setting. Dan, you've started to show up to a few scrums now, where if you're at another scrum or you're somewhere else and you just arrive, you kind of want to go, hey, what did they just say? So you don't ask the same question. Remember we went through that at Bellator?
Yeah,
we weren't sure. There was a few things we wanted to ask Scott. We weren't sure, and we had Mike and John there, so we knew that they more than likely had it covered. So I'm thinking, okay, that's a possibility. Two, he didn't really finish his question. He started to say, after she said, I'm not going to give an opinion on the fight as far as who's going to win, he started to say, what are your thoughts on his misbehavior? Now, at that point, she said, are you gonna insult Conor McGregor right here? No, it's just a question. And it's a question that's been asked to other fighters. It's a question that's been asked to us, and I don't think there's anything wrong with it. That was a big, big incident. There's lawsuits coming out of it. It changed around, a card that was going to happen. Mm-hmm. One lady, Rose, is psychologically having trouble, figuring figuring out what she's going to do next. She can't leave the house. So it was major news. I didn't think his question was that out of line, honestly.
But when he
and
asked
for her
it,
to say that and pull him in and go through all that, once I took a look at him, I couldn't tell. I looked at a kid that was young, had his sweater on, he looked dressed, he's trying his best to connect in English, and I think he needs the benefit of the doubt in terms of we don't know where he was headed. Because he could have said, what do you think of the behavior of Conor McGregor, and did the UFC possibly did they act accordingly to how you would expect a fellow fighter? I don't know. You know,
right,
or he may have said something like, do you think he's an asshole or a dipshit? We don't know. We don't know where he's headed. And she just grabbed him and punked him like that. And I thought, that's not right.
This is how you know. When he asked the question, did you go, I wonder what her answer is going to be? Or did you go the way most people did? It was meant for you to do this. He's going to put her in a tough spot right now. Let's see what happens. We all know what she thought of it. There's no way she sat there and thought, it was awesome, I hope he does it again. Okay. There's no way. He's setting her up for something. The problem is he's doing it kind of within the rules, right? And she shouldn't overreact that way.
We don't know. And the reason we don't know is when Rose was asked, hey, how did that affect you? Did you go, oh, more than likely she can't leave the house? No, it probably shocked you when you heard it. You had to hear it from her for you to go, wow. She took it different from Carolina, who said, that shit happens in Poland all the time. I ain't tripping. You see what I'm saying? So I thought it was worth it to find out, well, what's Joanna's opinion? And I don't know. Then I think it was within that same scrum when they asked her about Nico Montana, she said, oh, that's unprofessional. She had an opinion there, and she leveled another fighter there, a fellow champion or former champion, because she's not in that fraternity anymore. So I don't know. Sometimes I think maybe the champs do want to look out for each other. It's tough. Every word is scrutinized and things like that. But then there's other times where it's like, man, that's your job. You know, like the guy asked you a question. Do you really need to thump him like that? I don't know. I don't know the history of that guy. Could be that he's a jerk. But I thought at that moment all that was unnecessary. What he could have done was go, I'm okay, and just stayed back. But maybe he's
a young guy.
Moment. Yeah,
we can all agree on that. And I feel like some of us have put in enough time where even if we are out of line, sometimes the fighter knows you well enough and your reputation follows you enough that fighter will give you the benefit of the doubt. Maybe give you a pass. In this case, she wasn't able to do that. He was a young guy. You learned your lesson in front of a lot of people. That's the part that sucks.
YouTubers, podcasters, let us know what you think. Hit us up at MMA Junkie Radio, at Dan Tom MMA, at MMA Junkie George, at The Goes. I got a feeling this is something we can talk about all week, but there you have it. There's our daily debate brought to you by the MMA Junkie Radio team.